I wish I could say something that was clean and
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
SportsTownChicago.com. Lombard, part of the Be On Air network and available on the TuneIn app.
Hell yeah.
Broadcast home for your Windy City Bulls and the Chicago Dogs. We're in a league of our own. Now, here's your SportsTownChicago.com scoreboard update.
At 1:40, I'm Jonathan Young with your SportsTownChicago.com update, powered by Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com. Mike Vrabel put his hat in the circle for the Bears' new head coaching job Wednesday, and Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver had his interview today as the Bears' head coaching search continues. Frank Wycheck, late Titans star tight end, was diagnosed with CTE. Frank died from an apparent fall inside his home. Notre Dame, number 7, versus Penn State, number 6, semifinals round playoffs in Pennsylvania tonight. 6:30, tune in on ESPN. Number 5, Texas versus number 8, Ohio State in Texas. That's going on tomorrow, 6:30. Catch it live on ESPN. The Bulls lose to the Pacers 129-113, snapping a 3-game win streak. Zach LaVine went 12 for 20, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 31 points. Kobe White chipped in 19 points as the Pacers took a 2-0 lead. The Bulls will be back in action tomorrow as they welcome the Wizards to Chicago. 7 p.m. Tune in on Chicago Sports Network. The Blackhawks won 3-1 versus the Avalanche. Connor Bedard had 1 goal and 1 assist. Peter Bergerac had 35 saves. The Blackhawks lead the series 2-0. And they traveled to Detroit Friday to face the Red Wings at 6 p.m. Craig Smith and Connor Murphy are day-to-day for the Blackhawks. Tune in on that. This has been your Chicago Sports Town update brought to you by Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com.
You can put it on the board. Yes. Yes.
Now live. Jonathan Young. Sports Nation.
Dragons! Somebody grab Dragons there. Do you know who this kid is? He's from Chicago. He has a 40-inch vertical. And you are, what is my poster machine? This is what I need my poster machine. Where's it at? Oh my goodness.
Are you ready to dominate?
He hurdles Sauerbrunn, 20, 10, 5, touchdown! 75-yard punt return. Devin Hester, you are ridiculous.
The 13-person committee is made up of 6 current athletic directors, 4 former head coaches, 2 former players, and 1 retired media member. That committee will rank the top 25 teams in the nation every week starting in November, leading up to Selection Day on December 8th. Once those final rankings are in place, we can whittle things down to a 12-team bracket. The 5 highest-ranked conference champions are automatically invited to the party. The 4 highest-ranked conference champions will receive a first-round bye. The 5th conference champ will have to play a first-round game with their seeding determined by the committee's rankings. That leaves 7 spots up for grabs for the next 7 highest-ranked teams in the committee's rankings. The teams seeded 5 through 8 get to play an on-campus home game. When we get to the quarterfinals and the semifinals, those games will be played in 6 of the most prestigious bowl games: the Fiesta Bowl in Phoenix, the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, the Orange Bowl in Miami, the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, and then it all comes down to the College Football Playoff National Championship game, which will be played this year at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta on a Monday night on January 20th. Did you keep up with all that?
Welcome in. Thank you. Jonathan Young here with Nene, Windy City Sports Nation. I'd like to give a shout out for that last clip, to credit CBS Sports on that last clip on YouTube. They were actually explaining the college football playoffs and how that actually works. How you doing today, Nene? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you back. Good to have you back in the studio. We missed you last week and a couple of weeks,
and I miss you too, JJ.
It's definitely good to have you back. Definitely good. So, have you been able to follow any of the NCAA play? Well, let's give a rundown of the show real quick. We got a few things going on today. We got the NCAA playoffs for football. We have the Bulls with Derrick Rose retiring from the NBA. And we also have the Bears. They beat the Packers last week. And if you didn't know, they're looking for a new head coach. So a lot going on with the Bears as well. But have you been able to follow any of the college football playoffs this year?
Just briefly, like honestly, 'cause I've been more into like the G League and NBA than, you know what I'm saying, the NCAA, but I guess I need to get in tune.
Yeah,
so put me on, JJ. Put me on.
Well, definitely, going to see the Windy City Bulls is precedent. It's a priority. So, but the playoffs, I don't know if they changed. It used to be it was all voted in, and people didn't like it because the same people got voted. The same teams would go every year. So there was a lot of complaining. And then they started this playoff brackets. And when they first started this, everybody was up in arms and like, this is never going to work. But I will say, this has been in place now about 5-6 years, and I have not heard any negative stuff about it since they've started it. So I feel like this playoff picture and the way they're doing it is actually better now than it was before. Before you just had a panelist. You just had a group of guys that would say these teams had this amount of good wins, so because they had this amount of good wins, they should go to the playoffs. Now you have to like actually earn it on the field. There is no more panel. There is to an extent, but not like it used to be.
Okay.
And because of that, you get smaller schools that normally wouldn't have a chance to make the playoffs now making the playoffs.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Or you get teams like Penn State, they never are in the playoffs, or Notre Dame, and those are the two teams playing today. So the playoffs is a good thing because it's always new teams. Now Texas is going to play Ohio State tomorrow, and Ohio State, they're usually there.
And Notre Dame's a big deal for Illinois.
Yeah, it
for
is.
Chicagoans.
There's a lot of South Bend, Indiana fans, definitely. So, it's a big thing here in Chicago, and it's great to see. All of how close Chicago is with Indiana, all of the fans for Notre Dame coming out and supporting Notre Dame, even though Illinois, they're not in the playoffs, but it's still close. It's close state. You're right. There is a lot of Chicago fans that went to Indiana or went to
Notre Dame.
So. Yeah, it's a big deal for Chicago. It's a big deal.
And the Illini, the Illinois. Oh my God, let me not.
Yeah, they haven't gone
in a long time.
Yeah, national championship. I don't know. No, but
maybe they'll get a chance now that these rules been updated.
Yeah, and the one thing I have heard is that there's a lot of blowouts now this way, but if you're a number 1 seed team and you're playing against the 8th or the 12th seed team, there's a big gap of talent there going from 1 to 12. So you're going to see a lot more blowout wins. But the good thing about this is perfect example. Notre Dame is 13-1. Their only loss was the NIU. Northern Illinois. Back in the day, there's no way that they would have went with a loss from Northern Illinois, because that's a bad loss for them. And they would have taken into consideration how bad of a loss that was. And I don't think they would have even got invited to playoffs, Notre Dame, because they lost that one game. And it was early in the season, too. It was like the third game of the season that they lost to NIU. So with these new rules, you get to see Notre Dame going, even though that only loss was to Northern Illinois in week 2.
That's nice.
Penn State, they lost 2 games. They lost one to Ohio State, who's still in the playoffs, and the other one was to Texas. And those 2 teams are literally playing each other tomorrow.
Okay.
So Ohio State and Texas is the only 2 teams that beat Penn State. And they lost to Ohio State 20-13. And I'm sorry, no, they lost to Oregon 45-37, not Texas. Sorry about that. They lost to, so Penn State lost to Ohio State 20-13 and Oregon 45-37. But the Oregon was a really good team as well. And to lose, they lost to Oregon by 8 points and to Ohio State by the 1 touchdown. And both teams were ranked. So you had Penn State lose 2 ranked games, or 2 games to ranked opponents. So it's really nice to see them adopting this formation this formula, because now, even though you do have a couple losses, you still get that opportunity to continue. So Ohio State will be taking on Texas Friday. Ohio State is 12-2. Texas is 13-2. Ohio State's first loss was against Oregon, 32-31. Their second loss was to Michigan, 13-10. So both of those games were really close. And then you had Texas losing to Georgia 30-15. And then their second loss was 22-19 again to Georgia. So Texas, they lost both of their games to Georgia. One was in the regular season, and the other one was in the championship game. So, that's going to be a really good game tomorrow to see Texas versus Georgia as well. Georgia looking to get a little bit of, Texas looking to get a little bit of revenge as they lost the last 2 against Georgia. But I do feel like college football has definitely come a long way. Back in the day, people didn't even really care anything about college football, and with the NIL deals and the transfer portal and the playoffs, like, things in college football have definitely picked up and become a lot more exciting.
And I guess we can also thank betting and those type of things giving people more games to bet on.
Yeah.
So, it kind of helped out
Definitely.
with the views, watching and getting those, noticing those players that normally probably wouldn't be spotted.
Yeah, definitely. Gambling sites have definitely helped college as well. But college sports was always something that it was good for the athlete, but it was like a developmental thing for the pros. And I feel like now that they're getting paid with the NIL money, that it's not anymore just setting you up to succeed. It's teaching you how to do it now. Mm-hmm. It's not just a plan. It's something they're implementing now. So it's good to see college football growing the way it has. This has been like one of the most exciting times for college football is the playoffs. So it's great to have Notre Dame in there as one of those teams because it's good for the city.
Yeah, it is.
It's good for the city. A lot of Notre Dame, Penn State banter was going on here today at the school. So it's good to see those 2 teams, just going at it, There should be an undisputed champion by the time these playoffs end. For one, Chicago playoffs are in sight. But even though they're in sight, are you excited?
SportsTownChicago.com.
Joe's Hot Dogs has been around since 1953, but I promise it's not old news. You don't have to like hot dogs to like Joe's on Plainfield Road in Joliet. Italian beef, hot dogs, shakes, and sides. My family's had a relationship with Joe's Hot Dogs for 3 generations. Golden fries with a tad bit of salt and the perfect amount of crunch come in a bag as big as your hand. And that's just a small. For more on the menu, visit joeshotdogsjoliet.com, bringing that classic Chicago flavor to the suburbs. That's Joe's Hot Dogs across from CVS on Plainfield Road in Joliet.
At the football game, Jim shows the telltale signs of being wasted. He starts flexing for the camera. He refers to his muscles as gunboats. He screams, "How's this for a halftime show?" Jim streaks the field.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many to drive. But what if you've had just one too many to drive? Never underestimate just a few. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and Windy City News Radio.
The Illinois Center for Broadcasting is now the Illinois Media School. We've been an institution in the Chicagoland area now for 30 years. Because the broadcasting world is always changing, so are we. Not only are we teaching radio and television production, but now you can learn all aspects of the media industry, like web design. You can even specialize in TV or film, sports broadcasting, and even sales. No matter where you are in the Chicagoland area, we have a campus near you. The Illinois Media School. Be on TV, be on radio, beonair.com.
Maybe that was money. Tell me that wasn't money.
Yo, check us out. We are the go-to guys. I'm your boy Space.
I'm your boy MC.
Check us out every Thursday
from 4 to 5 p.m.
We spitting all facts, all sports, all day.
Yes, sir. Who else you gonna go to in the clutch?
Lillard, long-range three, and it's good!
Keeping you up to date with all the latest sports news.
We are
the go-to guys.
Where else you gonna get all your sports news from?
You know,
SportsTownChicago.com.
St. Patrick's Day, the only day of the year that it's okay to not boo the Boston Celtics.
I will show you mercy.
SportsTownChicago.com.
The life after basketball is great for you.
Listen, it's a lot. You sleep a lot better.
I swear. No competing. Oh, man. It's not being competitive, bro, like that.
So let me ask you this. Do you watch the games?
No.
It's too hard.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I mean, PJ watch it or anybody's watching it. I'll watch it, but I'm not turning by myself. You said it took 3 years.
Yeah, it took me a couple of years.
3 years. So I got 2 more years.
Welcome back. That was D Rose and Mr. Joakim Noah on Derrick Rose's retirement night. Welcome back, Windy City Sports Nation. How you doing, Edie? Welcome back. I'm doing good. So that clip we heard was Mr. Joakim Noah talking with Derrick Rose about him playing or being able to watch any of the games. Joakim Noah did retire a few years before Derrick Rose. So in that clip, Joakim Noah was telling Derrick that he can't watch basketball and hasn't watched it for 3 years. Joakim Noah told him. So Derrick jokingly told him, "Oh, well, this is first year, so he got a couple more years of waiting before he sees his first game." So it was pretty cool, nice little interaction. Got a question though: has Zach LaVine raised or lowered his trade stock? Reach out to me, JJ Young, Windy City Sports Nation at gmail.com. Let me know. we got to trade Zach because this is, in my opinion, this is the highest that we'll ever get any kind of return from Zach. So it'd be nice if we could trade him now and maximize that trade for him.
But I don't understand. I don't know. Like, I feel like he's needed. He brings in the most points in every game, just about when he's playing, and I feel like he's a needed player more so than trading him. We always trading the players that we build up that are good players. Like, I don't know.
And this is the problem. This is literally the problem, is that the Bulls they're paying Zach LaVine
like $35 million. He's the highest paid player on our team, and he's finally starting to show some that he's worth that.
But the problem is that when you're the highest paid player on your team, you have to equivalate the scoring with wins. Okay. Derrick Rose retired, and they retired his jersey. And people were saying in Chicago that why?
Yeah,
why
he
are
was
you guys
he was
retiring
on an
his jersey?
injury most of the time. It's like,
well, the reason they did is because he had 3 years where he was the top guy in the NBA, or one of the top guys in the NBA. And in one of those 3 years, he was the MVP, meaning he was the best player in the league that year. And during that 1 year, the Bulls' record was 60 wins and 22 losses. His wins, or his stats, showed in the wins. Okay, he was the MVP, and his team had the best record. Okay, Zach LaVine, on the other hand, who's averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, his scoring and stats do not equal.
he's not
wins.
an MVP though.
No,
We're not. You
But-
can't compare MVP to a not MVP.
you can when they're getting paid money.
Okay, but the money. Okay, regardless though,
So if you're
it doesn't
paying,
seem like
if you're paying
that
someone-
argument is not.
if you're
That doesn't
paying-
back up the argument.
It does, because if you're paying someone 45 million,
35.
$35 million, he should be by far the best player on your team.
But he is one of the best players
See,
on the
there you
team.
go.
Vucevic is the next player with very good stats, similar to Jordan in his prime. But I don't know. I feel like you can't be knocking Zach LaVine because he's picking up the slack. He's playing I feel like he's playing good. He's doing his job. He's playing for the pay. Like, we're putting him, making it seem like he's not doing his job. He's doing his job.
Okay, do you know what a plus minus is?
I'm
in
sure you're going to
basketball?
tell me.
Okay, a plus minus in basketball tells you how many points the other team got against you while you were on the court. That's a plus or a minus. So when you're good, and it should be positive, you're good and you're on the court. Zach LaVine last night scored 30 points.
34 points.
And his plus minus was negative 20 something points. Meaning when he was on the court, the Bulls were losing negative. They were down negative 20 points every time he was on the court.
But that goes for the team.
Yeah,
There's
you're
there's
right.
no
It's-
I in
it's-
team. There's no L in team. There's no Zach LaVine in the team. So it's like you're putting all this pressure on one player when there's a whole bunch of other guys on that team on the court with him.
You're right. But the thing is that Zach LaVine, okay.
So that should reflect the coach and the
person
person calling the plays.
This is a perfect example. Zach LaVine had a play where he drove to the lane and he had a tomahawk dunk, got the whole crowd cheering. Like, it was an awesome play. The very next play down, Zach LaVine was sitting there with his hands on his knees while his man cut back door and got an easy
We're putting
layup.
all this pressure on Zach LaVine, but Lonzo Ball gets paid just not as much, but like he gets paid a pretty good salary out of the Bulls. He's probably like what, the third most paid player. He's always injured, and I'm sorry, but he don't get no points. He's good for assists. He's good for all these other things, but he's not out here racking in points. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's
if you have Zach LaVine on your team and he's scoring all these points, you don't have enough to get you over to the top. Like right now, if the season ended,
so strengthen your other players and stop pressuring one player for all this. This, you know what I mean? There's not going to be another Michael Jordan. Like, you're over here,
but you're paying him like he's a Michael Jordan.
But I mean,
so if he's not living up to those stats, you have to trade him. If he's not producing those wins for your team, if all he's doing is scoring, and he's not playing defense,
I feel like when he was injured, we lost more games than when he's been back. So that's why I'm trying to say that when he was injured, we missed them. And now he's back, and I see the difference in our team, and I see that when all their heads are in the game, how well they play together. So I feel like it's to just be knocking him. I guess I love the Bulls too much to be hearing someone knock him.
Oh no, I'm not. It's not a knock on Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is a good player.
He is.
But he's not the best player on a championship team.
He's not.
And
that's not the argument.
But if you're paying him like he is, that's the argument.
I didn't create a salary.
You can't, right? But you're still paying him. We didn't say, hey, we want Zach LaVine, and we'll keep paying him
because when he's injured and when he's not there, we see what it is to not have Zach. So I'm sorry that JJ's talking about you like that, Zach. Leave me out of this.
Yeah, no, he definitely. It's time for Zach LaVine to be traded because you could do so much better with that money. And right now they're in the 10th spot. They would be in a play-in tournament game.
But we don't want that because then we ain't going to get the trades we want anyways.
No, you don't want that because you're in the bottom of the league. So when you're in the bottom of the league, you can't get that top 5 draft pick to make you better. No free agents are going to want to come here. So then what do? You have to make your team worse. So Zach LaVine got to go. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you keep Zach LaVine is a very good offensive player. He's like a 2 or a 3 best option on a championship team. So if you traded him to, like, say, a Clippers where they got Kawhi Leonard, right? And now he's like Kawhi Leonard's Robin. Instead of all that focal point being on him, instead of everybody being like, you have to do something.
I got PTSD, JJ. I miss Butler. I miss the Derrick Rose team, that dream team when we had Butler, Noah. You know what I mean? So it's like I just be getting PTSD when we be trading these players that we watch, that we build. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the only way you're gonna get better is to get worse first. You can't grow.
Well, if that's the case, the Bulls are right on target.
No, the doggone it, they've been on target for the last doggone 10 years, unfortunately, man. If not more. But
do you think we're gonna see another 1990 championship type of games from the Bulls in our lifetime, JJ?
Not with this roster.
No, not with this roster. I'm saying, do you think in our lifetime?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I do, because Chicago Bulls is a legendary organization, and too many great NBA players grow up watching the Bulls. And one of these times, one of these players is going to come back and be our savior. I thought it was going to be Anthony Davis because he's from the Chi. And I thought that 2 years ago when he became a free agent, he was going to come back home and we had our impact player. And he ended up going to Los Angeles and playing with LeBron James. But it's going to take something like that. You know, a player who saw Mike exceed and be successful in a Bulls uniform and want to take that same kind of journey. That's unfortunately the only way it's going to work. Going from one Chicago team headed to the playoffs to one Chicago team that had aspirations to going to the playoffs. What went wrong?
Back to your home for sports. SportsTownChicago.com. Scoreboard update.
At 2:09, I'm Jonathan Young with your SportsTownChicago.com update, powered by Illinois Media. If interested in a career in media, go to BeyondAir.com. Notre Dame, number 7, faces Penn State tonight in the semifinal round of the playoffs in Pennsylvania, 6:30. Tune in on ESPN. Number 5 faces number 8, Ohio State in Texas. Tomorrow, 6:30. Catch it live on ESPN. Frank Wycheck is the late Titan star tight end. He was diagnosed with CTE. Frank died from an apparent fall inside his home. Mike Vrabel put his hat in the circle for the Bears' new head coaching job Wednesday, and the Dolphins' defense coordinator Anthony Weaver had his interview today as the Bears' head coaching search continues. The Bulls lose to the Pacers 129-113, snapping a 3-game winning streak. Zach LaVine went 12 for 20 with 4 rebounds and 4 assists, 31 points. Kobe White chipped in 19 points as the Pacers take a 2-0 lead in the series. The Bulls will be back in action tomorrow as they welcome the Wizards to Chicago at 7 p.m. Tune in on Chicago Sports Network. The Blackhawks win 3-1 versus the Avalanche. Connor Bedard had 1 goal and 1 assist, and Peter Mazerak had 35 saves. The Blackhawks lead the series 2-0. The Blackhawks travel to Detroit Friday to face the Red Wings at 6 p.m. This has been your SportsTownChicago.com update, brought to you by Illinois Media School. If interested in a career in media, go to BeyondAir.com.
This is your home for sports.
Red left.
SportsTownChicago.com.
Take that exit and get to the Southern Cafe, home of the Nasty Biscuit on Roselle Road in Roselle. Get over there and try the chicken fried chicken biscuit made with the Southern Cafe's house-made drop biscuit with buttermilk chicken fried chicken smothered in country gravy, topped with shredded cheddar and crumbled hickory smoked bacon. I always say that when you go to the Southern Cafe, you come out with 2 meals with the heaping amounts of food they serve you in every meal. I love to go to a place with outdoor seating. The Southern Cafe has a great outdoor seating area to help social distance, and I get to enjoy my breakfast outdoors. Open 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. to give you plenty of time to grab an amazing breakfast or lunch. Now get your butt over to the Southern Cafe on Roselle Road.
Hello?
It's speed walking day.
Dorothy? You're breaking up.
Did I mention we'd be slowing down when we pass the court where those fine brothers play ball?
I heard that.
Reduce your risk of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Get active, eat right, and maybe even run into Mr. Right. Isn't sisterhood beautiful? For more information, go to everydaychoices.org. Brought to you by the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, the Ad Council, and this station.
Alert! Alert! Be gone, maxed out credit cards, overdue loans, suffocating interest rates, and relentless collection agencies. If your credit rating is making you and others around you cringe, there's only one thing to do, and that's to turn to the professionals at Creative Credit Solutions. Even if your credit is less than perfect, we'll help you get back on track. You can do it, and we can help. Call today or visit creativecreditsolutions.net for your free credit check report.
Blow the whistle on SportsTownChicago.com. Mondays and Fridays from 2 to 3 p.m. as we talk NFL.
The game plan was really sound.
The quarterback league. It has been. It still is.
Franchise-defining quarterbacks.
College football.
Will Jim Harbaugh make it through the season as Michigan's head coach?
Some more Big Ten talk.
And here's some things you wouldn't expect.
I would have never expected that.
Get all of that and more on Blow the Whistle on SportsTownChicago.com.
Want to give a special shout out to Jalen Johnson for making Pro Bowl for the second year. That's no surprise from anyone in our building. His preparation, his detail, his process is always on point, and that's allowed him to be successful and consistent. In terms of
over here, throwing up.
Thank you. Welcome back, Windy City Sports Nation. All righty. I'd like to give a shout out to YouTube for that last clip. So this season was definitely a disaster for the Bears. And they had high expectations going in, Nene. Before the season started, everybody thought that last year with them going 7-9 or 7-11 down the stretch, and a better quarterback in Caleb over Justin Fields, that they would continue that upward trajectory. And actually, they went backwards. They were 5-12 this year, and finished dead last in the division. It was a terrible year all around. What did you think about this year for the Chicago Bears?
I thought it was very disappointing because all this hype over Caleb Williams, when we should have replaced the coach during that beginning of this season. We should have started it with the new coach. I feel like, you know what I mean? The fact that Eberflus got fired and that he was not a good coach for this season took away from actual work being done within the team and this rebuild of the franchise that we're not seeing. And also, we do understand that it has more issues in the politics of the football, but it's just like, wow, making Chicago look bad. Thank you.
Yeah, this was definitely
this was like the icing on the cake for all the years that we ever were embarrassed. This is the most embarrassing thing.
Yeah, this was a dumpster fire this year. But
a wild dumpster fire.
But no. You gotta take the good with the bad, Nene. So
I feel like that's all we do in Chicago.
But if you do that eventually,
take lemons
the good will be good. It won't be just good and bad. It'll just be good because you're taking the good with the bad, But so we're just hoping that eventually it's just good. No more bad.
Maybe. I mean, we do have. I was happy when we won, when we beat the Cheeseheads. So it was a very promising look.
Yes, and that the best thing. Okay, and this is what I was going to say. This was a terrible season for the Bears on every single level.
Terrible.
But I will say this. The best thing that came from this season is the fact that Caleb Williams is not perfect. He's not a generational talent maybe yet. But he did do some good things. He had some throws out there where you was like, he threw the ball and the receiver wasn't even turned around yet. And when the receiver did turn around, the ball was right in his hands. Perfect throw, perfect anticipation. But then you also saw plays where he just sat there and held the ball way too long and didn't throw it. So there was it's like you could see the arm talent. You could see him roll out, get away from the sack, rip the ball 30 yards down the field to an open guy, but yet still they'll call the very next play and he's missing someone who's wide open.
And we've seen him hustle on that one game when he almost passed out. He was really overworked. It seemed like he was maybe the only one working hard on the field that day. But yes, I don't know. I guess that is a good thing for a player to be around a team taking as many L's as the Bears have taken, I feel like it can only go up from here for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and it was very, very good that they actually did win against Green Bay, because all those losses, even after the games, you could hear it in his voice. He's not used to this. He's not used to losing. He's not used to being on a losing team. He wants to be a winner.
And that may be something that he needed to face internally, which, you know, I mean, there's a reason. There's no such thing as coincidences, and everything happens for a reason. So maybe this dumpster fire of a year can be the rock bottom foundation where greatness is built for the Bears. I do have faith, you know what I mean? Because now that we have a new coach for this new quarterback.
Well, we don't have a new coach yet.
Not yet. Well, when we do have a new coach.
He's coming. He's coming. All right. But so the season failed a few reasons, in my opinion. Ryan Poles, he did not build this team for injuries. And in the NFL, there's always injuries. The offensive line was very average when healthy. When everyone was healthy,
let's be real.
Not when everyone was healthy, they were average.
And that's not.
Well, that's not
that's
good.
That's not what we need to win
not good,
championship.
But it was average. The problem is that when people got hurt, when people started missing games, when we took Nate Davis out of the starting lineup because he was not performing.
And we got Bears that were not even checking in on the field. They were not checked in and mentally, you know what I'm saying? So
a lot of different things.
A lot of really weird things, you guys. I feel like 2024 is just a weird year. You know, conspiracy theorists are getting a kick out of this shit.
With that head coach, though, he would be able to limit those mental mistakes. Hey, did you check in? They're not even going to ask him, did he check in? Because with the real head coach, he'll teach them you can't do anything before you check in. You see what I'm saying? With the real head coach, that should never have happened. With the real head coach, Caleb Williams shouldn't be standing there getting hit on a screen pass. A screen pass, you invite the rush, you wait until the rush gets there, and you throw the ball. It's real simple. You throw the ball before you get hit. But for some reason, Caleb Williams all year was getting hit on screens. All year until like the last couple games where he started to throw it and would back up and not get hit on the screen. But it's just little things like that.
Now that I think back on the things his father was saying before he came to the Bears, I think maybe that's where that I need a win mentality come from. And maybe this is just your dose of reality check. You're not always going to win. And I feel like the best players build winning streaks and amazing careers off of situations and things like this, these moments where they experience extreme loss, and not just in the losing the games, but not being just you, not beating your record, your own goals.
So you push yourself to do it.
Right.
Better. I hear you. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. And that well, Caleb Williams is the Bears' future. He has to be the focal point moving forward.
But the management, and not talking about coaches, management may need a new leaf, a turnover, because Ryan Poles is also responsible for the same team that had 14 game losing streak last year.
So if you but the problem is that if you get a new head coach right now and you fire Poles, you're starting completely over.
Look at the Raiders.
Yeah.
That's an amazing franchise team. I mean, let's talk about merchandise selling. It's a very popular team as far as I don't know who.
Yeah.
Although boomers love the Raiders.
Like selling jerseys and stuff. Yeah. I mean,
that's what I mean. That's what I really mean.
It's the Raiders, but
it's a very well-known team.
You want what Chicago fans want is they want an established quarterback, because Chicago's never had one, and they can have one with Caleb. And they want an established front office, meaning they want a GM, they want a head coach to be married. They want them to.
Well, either way, we're failing, because any coach we're gonna have is gonna be new, and there will be no marriage between Ryan Poles and him.
No, there will be, because if you go out right now and you get a new GM.
So if you go out right now and you get a new husband, you need to go through a lot to marry them. Like, you don't just marry someone, and if you do, it never works out. Exactly. So you have to know your partner.
Exactly. So that's why you can't let Poles go right now, because he's the one that's already established in the relationship. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you get rid of him, it's starting all over.
Maybe that's just what we need to do, and everybody needs to just let go of holding on to these little fragments of the past.
If you do that, you're starting with nothing. You have no foundation.
But maybe that's not a bad thing.
A year or two. You can't start over. You have to have some. You have to.
I think that the problem with a lot of us is that we don't want to let go of things, and like nobody wants to start over. But sometimes starting over can be a good thing.
That's what they're doing. That's why they got rid of their head coach. Is they are starting
all
over,
late about it,
but they don't want to start with absolutely nothing.
I think the Bears just have problems with letting go. It's that relationship that won't let you go, the stalker, because they could have just let Eberflus go, and I think we would have had a way different outcome for this season.
Okay.
Like, why are we holding on to these managers, these outdated thinkers, when we may be needing a fresh set of eyes on the whole franchise? And I'm not just talking about Ryan Poles. Like, this goes deeper than Ryan Poles.
Well, it can't go much deeper because Poles was at the top.
I'm talking about the politics behind that, the owners, the way that the thinking of the Bears has been with these owners, like, for longer.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we stuck with the McCaskies. Can't do nothing about it, unfortunately. But this season was a disaster everywhere. But this head coach will stabilize and right the ship for this Bears young quarterback.
In terms of our coach search, what we're looking for clear vision.
This is your home for sports.
This is the best fans in the world.
No better team.
SportsTownChicago.com.
Are you ready for this? Valley View Automotive has all of the hottest SUVs you've been looking for. Enjoy a test drive and the opportunity to drive one of these powerful vehicles off the lot for half the price. Yes, half the price. Now's the time to get yourself to Valley View by car, on foot, or even by air to take advantage of this outrageous sale. You better get here quickly, because this promotion is only going on for 24 hours, and the automobiles are leaving the lot faster than you can say four-wheel drive. Valley View Automotive, a dealership you can depend on.
Hey, I'm Andy Griggs, asking you to help prevent domestic violence. Domestic violence isn't a woman's issue. It hurts all of us. Women are injured and killed every day by their husbands and boyfriends. So it's time for men to take action right now to teach boys that violence against women is wrong, to help prevent abuse before it starts. Call the Family Violence Prevention Fund at 1-800-END-ABUSE to get a free Take Action kit containing tips on what to say to boys. That's 1-800-END-ABUSE. Teach early.
Indeed is the #1 job search user with over 250 million monthly users. Indeed's priority is to help everyone in the job searching process to find a job by uploading 10 new job opportunities every 10 seconds worldwide. With Indeed, you have free access to job searches, resume uploads, and company researches. There are over 10,000 employees at Indeed that pursue to help people find the job they are looking for. They connect with millions of people to new opportunities. Go to Indeed.com and sign up for free and create a resume, and let Indeed do the rest to help you on your job search.
Hey, I'm Jesus Mauricio,
Be sure to tune in every Friday to listen to Zeus Off the Bat, a baseball talk show from 1 to 2 p.m., where I'll be discussing and updating you on all things about baseball. News, predictions, reactions, and more about the Cubs, Sox, and everything across the league. Happens every Friday at 1 p.m. right here on SportsTownChicago.com. Don't forget to follow and share our Twitter and Instagram with your friends at Zeus Off the Bat. Zeus Off the Bat.
In terms of our coach search, what we're looking for clear vision, a developmental mindset, really good game management, and obviously a plan to develop a quarterback is going to be a key part of that as well. We're going to cast a wide net. It's going to be a diverse group. There's going to be different backgrounds from offense, defense, special teams, college, pro. We are turning every stone to make sure that we're doing this the right way. We believe that's going to be really, really important. In terms of timing, we're going to move with urgency, but we are not going to rush the process, again, because we want it to be a sound process.
That's right. That's right. That's what you want to hear. You want your team to take their time and make sure they get this right. Windy City Sports Nation, welcome back. I'd like to give a shout out to YouTube for that last little clip right there. That was Poles, and he was talking about getting a new head coach for the Chicago Bears, and that's going to be the big topic here in Chicago. Is what will the Bears do about their new head coach? There's a lot of candidates out there. You have head coaching candidates, offensive coordinator candidates, defense coordinator candidates. The Bears say that they're going to cast a very, very wide net in this. They say they're open to trades for head coaches. They say nothing is off the table. So getting a head coach is very important. Got a question for you fans out there. Who should the Bears get as their new head coach? If you had one candidate, who would that candidate be? Reach out to me, JJ Young, Windy City Sports Nation at gmail.com. Let me know who you're taking. I know if I am the GM right now, I would want to build around Ben Johnson. And
I was just thinking.
It's not going to be easy. Like, okay, it'll be easier to build around Mike Vrabel or Pete Carroll or a Gruden or a Tomlin or anything like that. It'll be easier to build around an established head coach, because if they're established, they know they have strengths. So because they have strengths, you don't need your offensive coordinator to be as good at something, or your defensive coordinator to be as good at something, because they don't have to overmask what your head coach is doing. But if your head coach isn't a strong head coach, you're going to need a strong offensive coordinator. You're going to need a strong defensive coordinator to make up for that. So as much as I would love to have Ben Johnson, I'm scared, because he's never been a head coach before. And with him never being a head coach, if your defensive coordinator isn't good.
But in the Bears' history, only one coach ever had head coach experience before becoming head coach, and that was John Fox.
Yeah, and he didn't even work out good here in Chicago. But I will say this: any head coach they get, it needs to be one of the top head coaches. That has been one of the biggest problems in Chicago, is you have to you get what you pay for. So if you're constantly signing head coaches that weren't head coaches, that never have been a head coach, you're going to pay for that.
Well,
but your team's going to usually suffer. You're looking for a Mike Tomlin type.
Let's look at the past and think of why coaches don't want to come to Chicago. They don't want to. Well, now they don't have to ride coach anymore. They might get first class. You might get first class trip over here. But before, they had these people riding in these horrible conditions to get here. And then on top of that, they want to tie whatever head coach comes in to Ryan Poles, and some of these coaches want to bring in their own GM.
Yeah. A lot of head coaches do, but if Ryan Poles has already done, say,
80% of the work.
No, I was going to say 60 because the draft is still a nice distance away. But a nice portion of your work, and the report is already built with him to, okay, if you start over and you don't have polls and you say, okay, bring in who you want. Now, if that person that towards the team, then if polls, okay, if you get, say Ben Johnson wants to come to Chicago and he's like, look, I'll come to Chicago, but I want to bring my own people with me.
Right.
Okay. Now you have a choice. You can either say, okay, bring your people with you, or you can't bring your
Well, it
people.
doesn't really even matter because how much longer does Ryan Poles have? We don't even know because he's not really disclosing that information on how much, you know what I mean? Like how much, if he's even got an extension and when he will be exiting, because he just signed it in like January 2022, his contract.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? He might be on his exit anyways.
Well,
but also, like, you have coaches like Mike McCarthy who totally denied this offer for the position to be the Bears head coach.
Well, he didn't deny it. Mike McCarthy was blocked. His team, the Bears, went to him and tried to get him to interview. And because he's still under contract, the NFL team that he's under contract with said no. I think it's Dallas.
Yeah, it is Dallas.
They said, no, you cannot talk to him.
But he denied it anyways. He didn't want it.
No, that's not true.
That's what I read right now.
No,
right now
he was blocked by Dallas from even talking to the Bears because Dallas is trying to re-sign him to a contract to stay in Dallas. He's still technically a Dallas Cowboy. So the Bears wanted to talk to him, and because he is still a Dallas Cowboy, Dallas told Chicago they weren't allowed to interview him. But there is I do understand what you're saying. There is going to be some head coaches that want to bring in their own people. Like last year, the San Diego Chargers took Harbaugh, and Harbaugh used to play quarterback in Chicago for the Bears. And was an average to above average quarterback. He was decent. But if he can want to take Paul. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we're late in the game.
No, actually, because they fired dude in the middle of the season, they got a head start
for next.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the problem is that a lot of teams have to say it's okay for you to interview their head coaches now because the season's still going on, which is what happened with McCarthy.
Right. Well, either way, it's still not gonna look good for whoever if we really want somebody, because if they're that good, like you said, they're gonna want to come in with their own people.
Not always,
but most of the time.
Oh. No. Oh, if you come in with
If
that
you're coming
kind of,
into this team with
if
you're
that
coming
kind of,
into this team with all these problems, I feel like you're gonna want to bring your own people.
why?
Because I just like I'm saying, like you want to rebuild this team, right? You have all of this bad press, so to speak, going on around Ryan Poles, Eberflus, and
Well, Eberflus ain't here no more.
well, whatever.
But if you're Ben Johnson, right? You're Ben Johnson. You have all these teams saying, oh, well, and that's another thing. There isn't all these teams. There's only like 2 or 3 good head coaching jobs next year. There's the Bears, there's the Saints, there's the Raiders, there's the Giants. There isn't a lot of good head coaching jobs. Okay. The Bears is arguably one of the best. The Jags.
Arguably.
The Jags. Well, would you rather coach for the Jags or the Bears? If you're Ben
You don't want to
Johnson-
ask me that.
Oh,
Don't
I
ask
do.
me.
I legitimately do, because as much bad stuff that happened for the Bears today, or this last season, as much bad publicity and stuff happened, they have their franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. That is okay. If you go around the NFL right now, I'd say about a third of every NFL team can say they have their franchise quarterback, if it's even that high. If it's even that high. So to be able to say, hey, we have our franchise quarterback is a big selling point for any head coach. So if Ben Johnson is sitting there deciding between coming here and going to, say, Jacksonville, where they have Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is, in my opinion, a franchise quarterback. But in other people's eyes, he's not. So it's really Ben Johnson's perception of that player. Would he rather come here and coach Caleb Williams, who's younger? They have more money on their books. They have better draft picks that they can pick this year. Or would you rather take somebody with you and start over, but you don't have a franchise quarterback, you don't have the money, you don't have the draft capital, but you get to bring your friend with you? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's all that the last 3 things, okay, those matter more to me than having this franchise quarterback, because I feel like you can build a player. That's my opinion, though. Do you
know how long the Bears have looked for a franchise quarterback?
It doesn't really matter, because the Bears have been not doing too hot for a very long time.
Exactly. And how does that change?
By building a better player. That doesn't matter. Like it could be anybody, not just Caleb Wilson. You know what I mean? So it could be another player, whatever. It doesn't matter to me, like about it being that particular quarterback. I don't really even I'm not feeling Caleb Willie.
Well, Caleb Williams is by far the best quarterback the Chicago Bears have had as a rookie, and it's like not even a comparison.
Right, but I'm not, I mean, the Bears ain't the only team in the NFL that I mess with, you know what I mean? So it's like, to me, at the end of the day, just because I'm a Chicagoan, yes, I do love the Bears, but yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like you're trying to argue with me about this this whole situation, but all I'm saying is that any person that wants to come into the Bears right now might want to bring a better GM. My arguing right now is about the general manager.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not even about Caleb Williams, and it's not about that. It's about the fact that last year too we had a horrible losing streak, worse than this year.
Yeah.
And it all has to come down to the fact that Ryan Poles doesn't have a great eye for talent.
Would you say DJ Moore is a good wide receiver?
Okay. But how many players do we have on the team that are good that's what I'm saying.
That they drafted or traded for? They have Darnell Wright. They have DJ Moore.
Either way, what are they doing then?
Well, Darnell Wright is your best offensive.
You just named
lineman.
it 3 people though. Like there's more players on the team.
Right. You didn't let me finish. I was going to keep going.
Keep going.
All
then.
right. They got DJ Moore, Darnell Wright. They have Cole Kmet. They have Tremaine Edwards. They have Javon Dexter. They have.
Wait, you're
Brisker.
naming all the players now, or are we naming players that are like?
I'm naming players that have grown this year and have gotten better.
Okay, well, that's not what I'm talking about. We're not talking about who's growing, who's getting better. We're talking about, like, we're arguing about these players right now that are like to argue over. There's not any players that like I could argue over.
Pro. The best in the league. He is an all-pro cornerback.
I mean, that doesn't really matter. We're not winning.
That's not because we don't have talent. That's
because
saying.
that's exactly what we're talking about, though, is about the fact that these guys that are the managers don't have control over the team, and they're not doing their job.
That's the problem. Is that the coaches aren't doing their job. It's
and not just the coaches.
It's not that they don't have the talent. Before this season started,
I didn't say they didn't have the talent. I said that Ryan Poles has a poor judge of talent.
But if he's the one that's picking the talent, and before the season
and then the talent doesn't just go to the players. The talent also goes to the coaches and those that are coaching the players.
Right. Exactly.
So
if the players.
So what I'm saying is that Ryan Poles is a bad judge of talent, and that can go towards the coaches. That could go towards whoever he is in charge of keeping on the team that he's not. Because look at, we don't have the proper setup right now with the management. My whole argument right now, you took this all about the players, but really this is about Ryan Poles. I don't know why you're protecting his spot so much. Like, are you getting paid? He picks
the players.
But you're not getting paid to protect him.
But he's the one that picks the players.
Exactly.
So if they have talent, but the talent isn't producing, it's not the talent. He picked the talent. The talent is there. They're not producing because the head coach that was there did not put them in a.
But it's not just the coach; it's the coordinators. They're all working together, and nobody is producing any wins for the team. This is the point right now. Like either way, if we got good players or not, we're not winning.
And you think that's Poles' fault?
I believe that it boils down, obviously. Yeah, to the top. It goes from the top down.
He can't make you play.
He can't. But he can pick. He could pick a coach. He could pick a team that could play cohesive together. So even if you pick all these individual players, if they are not good at playing in a team or playing with others, then you know what I'm saying. Like, oh, you could pick these people with all these stats, but if they're not well-rounded in the fact that they're able to play in a team, then what does it matter if we got a team full of winners if they can't play together?
It's not Ryan Poles' job to put everything
My point
together.
is that maybe we need a new it could just all be new. Like we could just restart. We're already so down. Like it wouldn't make a difference if we just
started over
all the way.
Yeah, I hear you. And I had my doubts on Poles too. There's times definitely where I was like, Poles gotta go. But not now. You can't, because you're going after a head coach. This next journey, unfortunately, has already been written. It's already started. We're just all for the ride now. If we like Poles, if we wanted to fire Poles or not, it don't matter, because the journey has already started. The process.
And if a coach is chosen that has a GM that you would put up there with Harbaugh, why not just replace Poles?
Because if I replace Poles right now, and I get, say, Ben Johnson, and he brings his own people in, and now Ben Johnson and Poles, they don't, because this is Ben Johnson's first time on the team. He doesn't know the roster. He doesn't know the strengths. He doesn't know the negatives. Poles actually can learn from his mistakes. He made a mistake with hiring Eberflus, and he's admitted, for whatever reason, he did not hit on his head coach, and because he did not hit on his head coach, it affected everything else. Before the season started, every NFL analyst said this was the best situation for a number one quarterback to ever get drafted to. Ryan Poles built that team. It's not his job to go out there and play on the field. It's the head coach's job to get that team ready to play on the field. So you're right. He did mess up. Yeah. He did. But
because it's the head coach's job. It's Poles' job to pick the head coach. Like, it's his fault. Let's just stop with it. It's not his fault.
Because he hired the head coach. He hired the head coach. But we over. Oh, my goodness. We is over. All right, you guys. We are going to get out of here. It has been a great day. Great day. Windy City Sports Nation will be back next week to discuss good old championship game from college football. Hopefully we'll have some updates on the Bears head coaches and maybe a GM. Who knows? Maybe a GM. Windy City Sports Nation, you guys have a great day.